Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. This week's episode is all about the IAE, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. In the game where there's only one galaxy, there's spaceships, but there is an expo, so it's a weird name for the thing. I find it super weird. But this week, we had a week's long of events of, seeing different ships in the game. We had the Nomad show up. We had, what else? The Perseus show up from RSI. So pretty cool, some pretty cool stuff. And I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say. Before we jump into that, I'll share my thoughts about it. I think the expo was really well done in the sense of like the building, where it's located, the hologram that you could see from a distance at the in the city. The actual building of the expo I thought was super cool. I think the idea of the expo in general is kind of silly. It's, let's go look at spaceships in a hologram that are not coming out for years. I always find that part kind of weird. But the end hit us with a bang. I think the next in show skins are absolutely incredible. I think they're beautiful, they're amazing, and yeah, like big time awesome stuff there. Other than that, though, I think the Nomad is an interesting ship. I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. I find the idea of the cargo being open incredibly weird. The way it holds the ROC, I think will eventually be fixed, but is kind of a mess right now. And I think it basically is what the Mustang Beta should have been and never was. And then the Perseus I find to be the most ridiculous thing in history. The Polaris, they basically took the cockpit, moved it in the back, called it a bridge, says the ship is a certain type of thing, and then it literally broke record sales. So I don't understand how this is still a thing and how people are still invested in this, but I'm so happy that they are, because this continuation just means the continuation of development for the game that I dream of and hope fulfills those dreams of like this amazing MMO that we hope to play. So the idea that the funding continues is great. I just can't comprehend how it happens with a ship like that in particular. Right? You would think like ship like the Carrack, you would think like some of these other ships would really break these records, but of all ships, the Perseus I find to be incredibly weird. But with that said, that's really it for me. So I'm going to jump into Discord here, and we'll bring in our first caller. His name is Unmatched. So welcome, Unmatched. Let me pull him down, actually. Welcome, Unmatched. You there, buddy? He's muted, so I don't know if he's actually here. Unmatched.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I hear you, buddy.
All right. So how you doing?
I'm doing, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hopped up on like 1,500 calories worth of Cadbury chocolate, so I'm all over the place right now. So
I'm excited. Very exciting.
Yeah. So what do I think about this year's IAE, right?
Correct.
Well, at the starting of it, I'll tell you that the Nomad was a good enough upgrade for my Pisces, so I definitely did that in the starting. I got more cargo bay and a decent size weapon upgrade, so I that's what I did at the starting, and that's the only ship that I pretty much bought, along with the skins.
3 size 3 weapons that's nothing to sneeze at, right? Like a lot of the more higher, like the ships that people use in combat, things like the Gladius and the Arrow, 3 size 3s.
Yeah, it was definitely a good upgrade for me, and I bought both skins. Those were the
the skins were cool for that. I'm actually gonna try and bring them up here if I can. The skins were actually really cool for that ship.
Yeah, and you convinced me to buy
No,
the
no,
prop.
don't. I don't
Yeah,
convince people to buy anything.
yeah, you did. Like,
Don't
well,
even
technically,
start.
you showed it off. So I bought the skins for the prospectors. So you're a salesperson. You should go get some commission over there. You know, because
Oh,
I wouldn't
okay.
have bought it if it wasn't for you. So, um, yeah, I bought the Nomad, the skins, and I bought the press prospector skins for you. But that didn't catapult me to I didn't get catapulted into concierge until I bought a Nautilus T-shirt, and I'm pretty sure that unless they like reveal a really good refinery ship,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically all the ships I'm ever gonna buy. I have reasons for every ship that I have,
I thought the
and I
Nomad was the refinery ship.
yeah, I thought it would be too,
Oh yeah,
but
weird.
yeah, I thought yeah, but apparently not. Some guys got well. They were pretty accurate with all the other predictions, at least. You know, they might not have gotten the refinery ship correct, but every other leak was pretty spot on, though. So we got to give them that. You know.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and they have big enough footprint to where the video, the IAE video took a shot at them. Did with the drawing? You get what I'm saying?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you didn't see that? The
No.
drawing, the drawing in the Perseus video was a shot at the SC leaks.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't even
Yeah, yeah,
notice.
yeah.
I'll try and bring it up too.
But so yeah, that's what I bought, and I basically bought me a T-shirt which gave me concierge. So I'm officially a concierge member. So can't wait to wear my monocle. So but other than that, um the well, obviously we again, this year has been crazy for backing. Like, what do we have? Like a ridiculous a ridiculously we've broken the bar when it comes to funding this year. It's ridiculous how much we funded in a year of this pandemic and stuff. It's crazy, you know. So I guess the IAE for Star Citizen, at least for when it comes to Cloud Imperium, has been really successful this year. But I really do when it comes to the Perseus. It's just a big ship meant to kill other big ships, and it doesn't have any other purpose other than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like the thing for me that is so funky, man, is everybody knows that they really haven't proven that you could do like big fleet battle type stuff. So ships
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this I find to be so uninspiring for me because it's like, we've been waiting since the Arena Commander days to see something like the Perseus fight against a Polaris, fight against an Idris with fighters, flying by all over the place, and we
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen anything like that yet. We can go play Star Wars Squadrons and experience a little bit of that, but we just haven't seen it in the game we want to play. And the idea of
Because
yeah,
speaking about Star Wars Squadron, it'll never that game will never be as good as the original Battlefront 2 game. Battlefront 2, I
bro,
went back and
bro,
played.
bro. This is a Star
Yeah, what
Citizen
happened?
show.
I know,
Get
but
on
I'm just
topic.
saying.
Get on
All
topic.
right,
Let's go.
all right.
Let's go,
But
Unmatched. You're the first caller. You gotta set the example for the rest of the callers, my dude.
all right, but I've been pretty good with staying on topic for the last few times I've been on. I'm just
Agreed. So
saying.
you could we'll let you slide a little bit today. I understand. You have
Yeah,
your
yeah.
your chocolate.
All right.
Yeah.
So the Perseus again, it's not that big, so I don't see a reason why it can't come into the verse soon. Like 6 months to a year. I don't see a reason why we can't have it. It's not a big cruise ship, so it doesn't hold more than 6 people according to the ship page.
Okay.
It's it doesn't have like that crazy amount of guns like the Hammerhead does. So I could see it could come in. It could realistically coming to the verse very soon, and I hope that's what happens for it. But other than that, I don't see a need for me to have it. Everybody, I looked in the question section when on the forums, and the majority of the questions basically pertain to like, can I solo with this ship? That was basically what you could read if you read between all
Star
the lines
Citizen
of
in
all
a
the
nutshell,
questions.
dude.
Yeah, yeah. If you read between all the lines of every question they were asking was is basically said, "Can I solo with this ship?" And that's all you see. Can my crew members can my AI crew members use the turret? Can I slave the turret? All that stuff. It just all pertained to
Yeah.
like, oh, can I solo with the ship? And yes, but other than that, the Perseus is it's just a big ship meant to fight other big ships. It doesn't have a lot of cargo bay. It doesn't have a medical bay. It doesn't have any other things except for big guns. And I'm really let down by the cargo size, though. I'll tell you that much. It only could hold a rover, and that's it. But that's the part that really let me down was the cargo size. You can't hold anything inside of it. But other than that, the skins that they released, the skins that they released today, it made me jealous because I don't own any of those ships, so I can't get those skins, and I don't desire any of those ships, so I'm not gonna go buy them. But the skins look amazing, and I wish I owned a ship that had those skins on them. But I'm not gonna go buy the ships for the skins. But I'm jealous of the people that have those free skins. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like I'm asking in chat right now because Xylo apparently tweeted that you need to own a Best in Show ship and then upgrade it. So you can buy a Cutlass today and then upgrade to the Best in Show. But what is the cost of the upgrade? I don't know. Probably 5 would be my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's or you should just buy it outright, I think, if you don't already own it. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to do it this way, because if it was all about the money, I feel like people would buy the if they just sold the skin, you can buy it, and then like you could buy it for real money, and then if you decide that you buy the Cutlass in game, then you can apply it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if this was all about like a money grab type of thing, they would do that, but they really kind of made it this celebration of like the people who already own these ships, and a part of me kind of likes that. I mean, it's you paid the money to make this ship a reality, therefore you get X, but the fact that people are missing things is kind of weird too.
Yeah, I would have basically done what you just said. I would have bought just the skins for when I own it in the game, when I work for the ship in game, and just apply the skin. But again, I guess you're right. There is some thing to praise them about them not selling the skins separately. But other than that, that's pretty much what I had about it. To summarize what I had to say, the Perseus, big ship, meant to fight big ship, have no other use for it. The white skins that they had, really good. The Nomad was good enough for me to upgrade, and I bought 4 skins. That's my summary. But that's I would say it's pretty decent. Crazy funding this year, so good for Cloud Imperium, I guess. And yeah, that's all I pretty much have to say.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick. Is there, they said paints will be free for all the pilots. If anyone has the base version of the Best in Show ship, all they need to do is wait until the end of IAE when the free gifts will be attributed. Again, they said paint and wearables will be distributed to all owners at the end of the event, and paint will indeed be just a paint. So last year's event, it was a CCU, which was a problem. Because you actually, like, that is your ship now. It becomes this totally different ship, where this year they did it right, and it is paints. So that's good. But yeah, I guess anything else you want to add before we go, Unmatched, or is that it?
No,
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm good. Nice being on the show.
Yeah, of course. It's always nice to have you, my dude. Always nice. The only thing I would say is, obviously, it's not a huge thing to talk about today. It's just a the expo. Not a lot of gameplay elements to this one, but yeah, as always, glad to have you, buddy.
All right, thank you, man. See
All
you.
right, be good. All right, our next caller is Lock Ops. Welcome, dude. How you doing?
Good. Let me go ahead and mute the stream.
No problem. Oh,
All
Lock
right,
OS,
so-
not Lock Ops. Sorry, buddy. Lock OS.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, man.
Okay, so my thoughts on the IAE so far. I think it had a really good, strong start. Consolidated Outland and a couple of smaller manufacturers. Good day with that. And then but unfortunately, they kind of blew it because they had Aegis and Anvil, which have the biggest lineups. The 2 days after that, so the 2 biggest days where like the event hall was like completely just crammed full of ships was at the beginning, and then every other day after that was like, okay, go in, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think one thing I wanted to mention with Unmatched and actually forgot is the videos were kind of also with the other ships, like those middle ships there were kind of boring. They were quick. They were, even with like Crusader, were almost trolly, where they showed the C2 or the A2, whichever the first ship that's coming is in, and in the event, but we couldn't see it ourselves. It was just kind of weird, the whole thing. But yeah, like, I don't know, for something like this, you want to see every manufacturer have something to show that's new. Like you would, for the most part, at an actual car expo or something, right? You see everybody's new availability, and it's just not something that would be possible, I don't think, for Star Citizen to make the game as well as have how many, like 7 different new ships available in for a week. It's almost like
Yeah, I think the only way to do it that way would be to literally have no new ships throughout the entire year. Like CIG just basically spent like working on ships, and then all of a sudden, all of the new flyable ships drop for this patch. And I think that would be untenable, especially if people knew that their ship that they already pledged for was actually finished and ready to go in game, but they were waiting for this like several months down the road for this event.
Yeah, I agree. And the problem with that is people only have so much money. So the idea of selling throughout the year is a lot more advantageous for CIG other than having one sale at one point during the year. This is where we sell everything. What I would love is if they showed things that they're not selling yet. Just have the exteriors done, similar to what they did with like the Kraken for the Kraken video, and then sell that later next year. So let's see what the next thing will be from Origin. Almost give a sneak peek to what might be coming in the future, and then sell it later on. Get people excited for it, kind of thing.
I think that's what they do. Another thing I think they could probably do is maybe take some of the smaller manufacturers and cram them even into like tighter, make more use of this hall, so you don't have days where it's just like, oh, it's just a central hall. Make it so that every day the convention hall is mostly packed.
Okay. Yeah.
But and then maybe have like the days like extend, even like have 3 days for like a certain series of ships. So I think that'll actually kind of go away as the years go on, just because every year they'll have more and more ships built and in game and available. So hopefully the halls get fleshed out more and more.
Absolutely. I agree. What did you think of the reunion? That YouTube video with the Mercury Star Runner?
I saw bits of it. I didn't see the entire. I don't think I sat down and watched it entirely. I thought it was okay. But real quick thing about the IAE Hall, kind of something about conventions in general. I think that they're putting all this effort into making like the convention halls.
Yeah.
I think they should do more conventions throughout the year. So maybe have like for 2 weeks have a minor convention where like basically they have all like the mining ships, all the mining equipment, all the mining gear, like all like the mining heads. So they make more use of the convention halls, because it did feel weird that for a convention hall there was a lot of stuff baked into the convention hall that was IAE specific.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I like that idea. The idea of of something like that, and you can tie that into things like the Vandal Mask event that they did this year. Is not only could they show like, you know, the Mole, the Prospector, and the Rock, and all of the different offerings for the, you know, mining clothing and all that stuff, but they and have it be freely rentable, but they can also tie in event type earnables for those things, and just to tie it into the game a little bit more on top of it. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, because like have it be like a bit of like a Las Vegas experience, right? Where you go to Las Vegas for this con, and then later in the year there's another one that you might go to.
Yeah, something like that, where like there's more than just like Invictus and more than just IAE. Like you can have like a first-person shooter convention where like all the first-person shooter gears, like you have all the gear in one location. You have all of like tie the professions into conventions so that people who do that convention, they all can gather together, and it could also be like something where you just get all the gear at one place.
Yeah, I mean, like again, even more Imagine type stuff is like a bounty hunters guild convention, right? And then there just happens to be mission givers there that supply very interesting and maybe story-driven bounty missions that are unique to the game then, and then maybe tie in somewhere else later. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Something about the mission givers. That's actually something that kind of like your previous caller, he brought up, and it's the internal debate and it's the internal crying that, can I solo this ship? Can I solo this ship? As someone who has a lot of ships myself that are pretty big, I've always found it a bit of a struggle to get people in game to join my crew. It's a little bit easier probably now that we can actually give people money to like, so it's encouraging them to like sign on as crew. But something I had an idea with. So you go to a mission giver, you do a couple missions with them, you build up rep. At a certain point, like I would probably say like mid-tier rep, whatever that would be, they start giving you missions that are pretty big, but they also on the side say, hey, I have a bunch of other people that I know with that I don't have a good rep with, but I'm pretty certain that they're trustworthy people. How about I give you this mission and then I allow other people to join your mission as crew and I pay them?
Yeah, I wonder how complicated that would be to do, but I don't think that they shouldn't consider something like that, obviously. Like, I think you could simplify it a bit more where it's required that you use a ship of that type and only one. And then it's also required that because some of these larger ships are just not that usable solo, that like, okay, I'll use a better example. Do you remember the original Tisha Pacheco mission? I don't know how long it's been since you backed the game, but where they gave you a cutlass.
I backed the game before the social module was a thing.
Okay, so yeah, you've been in for a while. So the original Tisha Pacheco mission, they gave you a cutlass to fly. Would you, obviously you want to fly your own ships, but initially, if the game provided you with the ship and then everybody flew in it and completed the mission, that could be the groundwork for something like that. Like, I don't know, just party payments, and I don't know. There probably needs to be a UI where you yourself could put out a service beacon. I'm doing X mission. I'm paying this gunner this much, that gunner that much, an engineer this much, so on and so forth, and then you just go out, right? And you could do this for anything in the game, mining, cargo hauling, everything, because it's a service beacon, a mission that you essentially create. And on the completion of the service beacon, whatever the requirements may be, the payments will be as follows, right? So I like that idea too. You got a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah, or even something like, again, with reputation, like after you reach a certain level of reputation, it's like Twitch goes, hey, I have a secret bar me and the rest of the crew like to hang out in. She gives you like the passcode, you get in, and it's like for people who have reached a certain trust with her, you can get access to this bar and you can meet up with other people who are in that same mindset, and you can like coordinate that way. Like basically make it so that it's easier for people to gather together to crew the larger ships, because otherwise you get into this weird point where it's like, I want crew for my large ships, but then there's no one who does it. So let me go cry about, can I solo every ship?
Okay.
Otherwise,
yeah. But we're way off topic. We're way off topic. I just realized how far off topic we are. Let's try to get back on the convention.
Yeah, it's related just because people, large ships and crews, IAE and all that stuff. So anyways,
Sure.
But Nomad, I thought the Nomad was a pretty good ship.
Why?
Because it's the lowest tier ship that allows you to carry ground vehicles, and I think that was a big thing with everyone. I remember way back when ground vehicles were first introduced, people were like, "Can I scram this ground vehicle into this ship?"
Yeah.
The bunker mission, they really do encourage you to use the all the ground vehicles. So having something that's relatively small and cheap, you can just slap a ground vehicle on the back, drop it off so many miles out of it, and then drive to it.
That's true. The turrets shoot at the ground vehicles now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know that, but it's a little bit easier to get in on the ground vehicle because it hugs the ground a bit better. You can use the cover a bit better when they don't shoot through the ground.
Yeah.
I find it that using the ground vehicles, they're a little bit easier to get up close.
Okay, that's fair. The thing that I feel that's a little bit weird about the Nomad, like I said earlier in my I guess monologue at the beginning, is I feel like it's what the Mustang Beta should have been, and it kind of disappoints me. The original Mustang Beta was very cool, the interior, and then the newer one that they reworked is just awful, and it's really disappointing to me because the interior of this ship is essentially what I would have liked to see from that. Do you have anything to touch on about that part of it?
I think CIG did the best job they could with the Mustang rework to get it to work, but I just think that unfortunately it would have needed something like the Nomad to come along in order to get the same effect as before, just because of the way they had to rework the ship.
Yeah, I don't even think they should sell the beta and just be like, yep, we're discontinuing this and Mustang Nomad now. But
I think the worst part about the beta right now is the fact you have to climb in the cockpit, sit down, and then you have to exit to the back of the cockpit. It's a mess.
Yeah, I agree. Is there? I guess I would say, and there's some stuff I really wish I touched on with Unmatched, but as we talk about them, the ideas come to mind. Nobody mentioned the idea of a upgraded starter or premium starter. These statements that were made that I find to be incredibly ridiculous. This is not a starter ship. It should never be a starter ship. I think what CIG essentially did was take the starting line of Star Citizen, which is $45, and shift it and made it $70 to $80 instead. And I think that is not good.
But unfortunately, I think this has actually happened. Has been happening for a while now. Because if you think about it, the original two starter ships, the Aurora series and the Mustang series, you can't do box missions even though they actually have cargo capacity. They need to get the cargo crates in the game where you can just kind of like what they have the Rock. With the Rock, how it has internal cargo, just put a big cargo box in the back of both of them. You can walk up to it, and then you can have a menu option where you insert your cargo box in there and then fly off.
Sure, but that's not the issue really, because that's something that will eventually work, and that we all expect to eventually work. The idea that I take issue with here is labeling the label of starter, selling it as a starter package. I don't think, because basically what I think here is that now there is no limit to what is a starter anymore. And I think it makes it very confusing for new players. What do I start with? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And here's the thing, is you can say whatever you want, Locke. I could say whatever I want are the advantages and disadvantages. They can say whatever they want. But in reality, since we do not have the groundwork of what Star Citizen actually is, we have no understanding of what the groundwork is and what the advantages and disadvantages are at this time. So selling it as a starter ship with a game package, I do find to be somewhat weird, borderline malicious, and I also think the general stats of the ship are very strong, in the sense of size 3 weapons are kind of your go-to weapons and do kill things quite quickly in the current game. I don't know what the future will be and what the future will hold, but size 1 and 2s are very kind of low end and very difficult to take down anything decently sized. So where does that fall into it? So I'm just I find it to be kind of weird, and I think we'll pose this question to anybody who calls in later on. I apologize to Unmatched that we didn't with him.
Yeah, I'd probably say size 1 and 2 are only really good against like ground units or like ground targets. But yeah, I do think that as far as labeling is concerned, CIG suggests there should be a tier 1 and call only those starters, and then everything at like the Nomad level, like the Nomad 300i, the Adventure Titan, they should just be tier 2 and that's it.
Or like upgrade, like you can call it whatever you want, but make it very obvious that you're paying for an advantage, which is exactly what it is. And to argue, pay to win, pay to get an advantage. I mean, I think to me they're one and the same, but to others they may not be, and that's just whatever. That's your preference. There's no point in arguing about that. But I do think it's somewhat disingenuous.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add before we let you go here?
Yeah, I would probably say, so like I said, other than the IAE, we need more expos, other than the Nomad stuff and crew for multi-crew ships, because that is one thing that people always complain about was like, oh, how can I solo a big ship? No, you're supposed to have crew, but we need more things for crew. Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on, Perseus. The one thing that I don't think people are considering as a possibility, especially because it has big VTOL thrusters, use it for ground attack.
Okay, I mean, it's an imaginary ship for right now, so I don't know what its use will really be, but it could be. Could be, because the idea of firing missiles at ground targets is a pretty obvious use case for it, right? So,
well, sort of. I would probably say the more obvious use case would be to, it depends what the effects of the guns are, but you can probably swap out the size 7s for like maybe a high explosive round, or maybe something that fires high explosive rounds, and just basically
carpet bomb,
shower, basically sort of like shower the area in like high explosive rounds, and then you do always say like, hey, the Perseus, it can carry an RSI rover, so that's a pretty big clue into me that they want it to be used as a ground assault in some limited capacity.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to it too much because it just was not an exciting ship for me personally, for all the reasons I stated earlier. But yeah, I didn't even know that it could carry anything.
I'll be very honest, on the large end of scale, and in general, CIG needs to get away from having combat ships. We have enough of them. Let's get more mining ships.
I would say I agree with the first statement, and I think we need to have less mining stuff be done. I love mining, and I would love for them to make endless mining ships, but we need them to make and flesh out the actual game. So I want them to start, if refining is part of mining, maybe some refining type stuff, but like we could take the UIs that we have now, we can make things like the Starfarer start working, smaller versions of the Starfarer, things like that. Like there's got to be more they can do, and yeah, I mean that's what I'd say about that.
Yeah, I think for refining ships, we're going to need to actually have physicalized cargo, because that's the one thing that kind of confused me about everyone thinking the Nomad was going to be a refining ship. It's like, it's called the Nomad. Most of the starting industry ships are not under $100, and we don't even have the tech we only got station refining in, so that was kind of confusing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the fact that there's station refining, the fact that there's a UI for inventories, it just means that they're moving in the direction to start being able to do these other professions, I hope. I imagine that a lot of it is obviously pinned on, a lot of other tech and stuff like that too, but in general, the more time you spend on adding to mining, I think no matter what you're waiting for, the less time you're spending on creating new and additional things that do need to be in the game to actually finish it. So I love mining. The more mining for me, the better, but at the same time, I love Star Citizen. So. I'd like that.
I agree. We do need to get the other professions in. If something's holding up the other professions, then work on mining, but otherwise work on the other professions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that, Locke. This is the first time that you've called in, right?
First time I called into this show. I while back before in the olden days, I did call into I think Redacted.
Oh wow, okay, cool. An OG. Well, thank you, Locke. I appreciate that, man. And thanks for sticking around with content I've been on for years. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Hopefully, we'll get server tech in soon. And we can actually start having bigger things and more core gameplay.
Agreed wholeheartedly. Cross our fingers for that, Locke. Have a good one, man.
You too.
Bye now. All right, and currently we don't have anyone else in the queue besides our next caller, Razer. So before we head to Razer, I didn't check out any tweets, so let's make sure we go ahead and do some of that. But yeah, I think Locke's call was pretty cool and had a lot of neat ideas. Just let me bring up these tweets here, guys. And anybody else who wants to call in, feel free. The channel is open. I think we probably have one or two. We do. Okay, so Dean, who is Archangel in chat, says, the event felt a bit lackluster as there were no real surprises. Do you think the early leaks of the Perseus was detrimental to IAE's hype, or do you think it helped hype it even more? I don't know. I was actually thinking about the same thing. Is like, did that hurt or help it? In the sense of everybody already knowing what it is, I think people could get their finances together and figure out that this is probably a $700 plus ship. It's, I know that I want to save my money for that. I'm not going to buy the Nomad. So like they choose certain things of what they want to buy before it happens. Possibly. I think it probably hyped it up more in that case. Yeah, I think for me, like my feelings about leaks are just in general. I'd rather experience it the way they want us to, rather than the way somebody else feels is appropriate. But yeah, I think there's a reason why this thing hit a record, and for a ship that just honestly isn't that exciting. So maybe it had to have some factor in it. It just must have. I don't see how it didn't, but yeah. All right, so let's bring on Razer here, and I will switch the name. Razer, welcome. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me fine?
You're a little low. I'll bring you up though. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm just adding your name to the UI or whatever here, the overlay. There you go. All right, let's bring you to
should be good.
200, and then you should be good. All right, welcome, Razer. How you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, thank you.
All right, so tell me, what do you think of the show, the Expo?
I think in general, it was kind of underwhelming, undeniably. Strong start with the Star Runner, but from there on, there was nothing super exciting other than a few holos like the Kraken and the couple of new skins we got at the end.
Yeah, the Kraken holo looks pretty good, right? Like in comparison to some of the other holos.
Detailed.
Yeah.
Very detailed. Yes, I like that, and I think the ship is exciting. Like it actually looks like a forward base.
Sure.
Base. But yeah, so we see these ships every day, anyways, for the people who are playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I personally was disappointed that they didn't show the capital ships in game, just like the Invictus event. I think they could have done something that was just spectacle, but it would have been cool to see those bigger ships. It's just I don't know. I was disappointed in that too.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, go ahead.
The Nomad, I'm just moving on, but yeah. So all in all, the show itself, the ships we have seen 1,000 times, I kind of expected more. But yeah, the Nomad, the The ship is
Hold
alright.
on,
I
I
guess.
actually know what I was going to say. I forgot, but it comes back. So before we move on to the Nomad, what were your expectations? Because anybody who is disappointed, I'm curious what their expectations were. Because I had some that were a little bit higher than what we had too, but I'm curious what yours were.
With the Nomad specifically.
No, with the actual expo.
Oh, with the Expo. I don't know. I would have loved to see some of the exteriors only. Like clearly, for example, the C2 that they showed in the cinematic,
Mm-hmm.
the exterior is done. I would have loved to like walk around like a capital ship. Idris has to be done at this point for Squadron 42. So maybe just have the exterior showcase so you can walk around, have a sense of scale. That's what Star Citizen excels at right now, right?
Yeah.
It's that sense of scale. And I think they definitely missed out on just having those ships closed, but you could still take a look at them. Maybe they would have been further away in the distance and you could have just walked around without getting close. I don't know. It's all in all, I kind of expected more hype, which I didn't get at all, other than the Perseus, but I would like to get on that later. So I don't know. It's underwhelming because it didn't bring hype to me, and it didn't get me excited for the future upcoming. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah.
I expected more in general.
Yeah, sure. Like for me, I expected something like the Vandal Mask event. I thought that would have been, if you tied something gameplay related into the event, I thought that would have been awesome. Unfortunately, it is literally just a ship sale. You know, that's what I feel like this thing is always going to be. But the end was it was a nice touch. I think it was a nice touch with the additional armors, skins, weapons, all the ships available for rent on a screen at the end. I thought that was very cool. But yeah, feel free. We can move on to the Nomad now. What you thought about that? I was just curious what your expectations were.
So the Nomad is kind of alright. I would say I like the design, the aesthetics of it, but it's not a starter. I 100% agree with you, and I find it outrageous that CIG coined the term, or they took the term from Spectrum that it's like an advanced starting ship or an upgraded starter ship. That's such a greedy move, and I think these are the kind of things that we allow CIG to get away with that they really should. I don't know. I find that kind of outrageous, and they should never advertise it to new players like that. It's super scammy to me.
I mean, you wanna see the most scummy of all is the if you are not a logged in, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up. But if you're not logged in and you are like click join the verse, I think. Let me see if they show it. Yes. I'm gonna bring this up on screen here. This is the most egregious of everything. They have the Nomad package that is slashed $15 off at $80 and says dominate the Aurora with our best starter ship yet. 8 times the cargo, more shields and blistering weapons. Don't settle for less. Like,
they are
holy
super hard
shit,
into the pay to
guys.
win.
That's fucking embarrassing. You're literally saying pay to win here. That's actually fucking embarrassing, dude.
Yes, I agree. I didn't even know about this description, but this is embarrassing to the max. I don't know. It's so concerning that CIG is so willing to play in this kind of terms and these kind of approaches. It's something that genuinely gives me concern for what the final product will be.
Yes, I agree. It is. Whenever I said that, like I've said this multiple times, is when you start seeing things like these, where you're selling things that shouldn't be sold, or things like that, that's when the concern trigger goes off. I think it's very clear that these guys are not out of money. They're starting a new studio. They're still hiring, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I don't think that they're out of money, but it is definitely concerning what they feel they need to do to finish the project and what they're willing to sacrifice in order to finish the project is starting to become slightly unnerving, more than slightly unnerving for me. It's starting to get quite dangerous in terms of what you're willing to do to finish this project is it's scary. Like, just straight up saying the Aurora starter pack is garbage. Use this ship or be garbage is essentially what that just said. It was like, whoa.
Twice the price.
Yeah, at twice the price. Yeah.
I agree. Like, there is nothing I could say right now that you haven't said in previous streams. I 100% agree. It's just a... So yeah, the Nomad, whatever I liked about the ship is forever taken with how CIG decided. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Agreed.
It's concerning.
Yeah, for sure. What else? What else you want to talk about? The Perseus? Any of the videos? Give you some ideas.
Like quickly mention the cinematics. The cinematics were all short, and I found them particularly boring. I don't know. It was weird to me that there was no real substance in any of those, other than just a couple of like pure bait shots that were precisely made by CIG to annoy people on Spectrum and Reddit, I feel. But
like the Hercules and stuff?
Yeah, the Hercules showcase.
Yeah.
That's always nice. I love to see that. I love seeing that's my kind of jam. So I'm okay with those. Other than that, they were short, boring, and they didn't really say much. The low point for the expo in general was the Origin Day, I would say. Like, Origin to me is kind of a joke of manufacturer at this point.
Yeah.
And they have no real good chips to offer. They have the 600i has terrible interior, for example, and the 300i kind of useless, outclassed by chips that are even cheaper than it.
Sure.
And
the 890 jump, dude.
Yes, very good. Like, I guess the 890 jump, if you could do anything with that in the game, that would be interesting. And it's a nice piece of to look
art.
at.
Yeah.
But art. Yeah, it's concept art.
It's art.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, that was the low point by far.
Yeah.
I am personally excited for the Perseus because, and this might be like not that big a deal to some people, but I really like that. I really like the crew size that CIG was talking about. And I think they are finally coming around to understanding that it's unreasonable to expect 10 plus players to manage a ship of this size. And they see that expecting too many players all in a single ship is unrealistic because they can provide the gameplay that is interesting and rewarding enough for a specific role.
For everybody,
Yes. Like, this fever dream of having 10 players on something like the Korok, for example, with a single role like co-pilot, gunner, engineer, I don't think is something that is ever going to happen. What's realistically doable, and with what they mentioned about the crew size of the Perseus, and they're starting to understand it, is like 4 or 5 players on something like the Korok who do all the jobs on board. So sometimes he's the co-pilot, then he goes fixes something, and then he sits in a gunner seat. So every crew member does all the roles. And that might provide enough gameplay that people will be willing to.
I agree. I think that's actually really a really awesome point that you make. Is it's very difficult for your average player to get that many people. I think when orgs are really a thing, it's not going to be that difficult. But the idea of, like, if you want to play in that kind of scenario, you join an org like a test squadron or something that always has people online, right? Yes. I think the Vandal, the one thing that the Vandal mask did show for the people who were just conga line mowing people down to earn their mask was that people are willing to mobilize together for a cause. And I think multi-crewing ships, these Discords might repurpose themselves for things like that in the future as well. But the idea of it being 10 plus players, I mean, we have a stream that I regularly stream at over 200 people. I know I stream at a weird time of day for US, Europe, like literally around the world. It's kind of difficult for people to get on, but like regularly the most amount of people I can get online to play with me is like 10 or 12. So the idea of having a ship that needs a crew of above that is insanity for your average player. And I think the average person who bought an Idris likely doesn't have a popular Twitch stream. And I don't want to call myself popular because I don't think it is, but it's that fact that it should be easier for me.
And even if you have those people, I don't think they want to be just the co-pilot sitting around in that seat, sliding shield, power management, bars, and
navigating,
weapon energy management. But exactly, I
how
don't think
rewarding
that's
is that?
Yeah, exactly. So I really like that when they said that the Perseus will be operational with a crew of four or five. I think just that little hint gives me hope that they are coming around to understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for the future of the game. For me personally, I always said the main aspect or what I am most looking forward to in the final project or the final product will be multi-crew for sure. Like that's what drew me into the game, and that's what I would like to see them figure out. It's not easy, but this is a good step in the right direction.
Sure.
All right, so
Go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you had anything more.
Yeah, I hope I'm not taking too much up. I will.
No, you're the last caller.
I have a couple more points if you don't mind.
No, feel free,
okay.
Please.
Sweet. Okay, so this is where I can never help myself but to rant about the insurance system. I'm sorry, but this entire
what system
that CIG does, the insurance
system.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I would say this is like super off topic, so keep it very short if it's not related to the event.
Yeah, I will. I think the insurance system is it's somewhat related to the event because this is where you can get the higher or the longer insurance packages, but it's an utter joke. Should be deleted altogether, and people somehow compensate. And I hate that, especially during these events and these big ship sales. I hate these JPEG wars and how the most complex gameplay loop in Star Citizen at this point in time is just juggling. And the fact that you lose your CCU once you met the item and all that kind of stuff, it's a giant scam, basically. And I hate the glorification of LTI tokens. And I also hate that, especially during these events, CIG is so willing to lean into that. Like, they are selling the Warbond stuff with LTI and the non-Warbond stuff with 10 years insurance, and then you get the normal 6-month insurance on the rich purchases. I think it's ridiculous, it's scammy, and it should be deleted altogether, 100%. The entire thing, nuke it from orbit, compensate the players who have anything other than 6.
Yeah, I've been saying that this is problematic for a long time. I mean, we've done an Answer the Call on insurance. I love that you tied it into what this event was about, and it's about ship sales and using that. Like, this is what I mentioned earlier, is the lengths that they're willing to go to sell are absolutely affecting the way the game will play. So the argument of pay to win or not pay to win is less relevant than the lengths that whoever makes the decisions on what will be marketed and how. I don't want to single out like the marketing team, Chris Roberts, Sandy Gardner, whoever, right? I don't know who I don't think there's just one individual that is at fault here. The idea of what lengths they're willing to go to sell products in this game, they inherently affect the way the game will be played. I mean, the amount of questions that I get about, if I do this, will this happen? And it's all website-related stuff. It's all the website game. There is more gameplay on the website than is in the actual game on your client. Sometimes it's insane. It's confusing. It's difficult for somebody new to the game to try to enter in it. Somebody mentioned earlier that Squadron 42 is going to make millions and billions of dollars, right? They said that in my Twitch chat. And I go, what makes you think that, right? Why was Fortnite so popular? Why was PUBG so popular? Why are games like Fall Guys games that pop off Among Us? Because they're simple and they're easy to understand and get involved in. And nothing about what we see in this event and everything else shows that, right? And more specifically on the website. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's not even that it feels scammy or it feels disingenuous. It is just complicated and convoluted and ridiculous, right? More than anything. It makes the entry into the game difficult. And that is, if you are a fan of Star Citizen and you want this game to be great, the last thing you want is the barrier of entry to be difficult, expensive, and complicated. And that's where I have an issue with the Nomad, is that you're now taking the entry into the game, making it more expensive, making it more complicated and difficult to understand, instead of saying, you start here, you could do whatever you want along the path, but there's all these other ships that you purchase in game, right? And now it's just, is the starting line over here? Is the starting line over there? $80 for the game, $95 for the game, $45. It's just all over the place, man. It's nuts. Just simplify things, and they just continue to complicate it as the years go on. They add on top, but they don't bring it all together.
Yeah,
rant over.
Again,
sorry.
Like, it's no, 100%. I wouldn't want to cut off, obviously. But yeah, and it's very hard to make the argument that an insurance system that, by the way, we have no idea of what it's going to look like, but it's very hard to argue that it's not going to be paid to, even to a small degree.
Yeah.
So
even if it's a small degree, it's problematic, and it affects the way you pay for the game and the way you play the game. So regardless of pay-to-win aspects or not, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something that, like, to tie it in with the Nomad, is that the way CIG is pushing and the way both the community and CIG glorifies something like LTI is just as concerning as them moving the goalpost with the Nomad, with like the entry of the game. It's equally concerning and equally garbage. So yeah, I mean, it's another bad.
Yeah, I mean, they broke records with this Perseus, right? So they have no incentive to work smarter or harder. And I'm not saying that they don't work hard. I know developers at this company, they work their butt off. I'm not putting anybody down. But they have no incentive to get this project out as quickly as possible because of a sale like the Perseus could just make $3 million in a day. It's just,
I don't know.
It's crazy. I'm happy about that. But I also see where you're coming from too, and it's a great thing, but it's also a somewhat problematic thing too. Is a lot of people want to play this game. Some people were kids and are now adults with children when they first backed this game. Like, I was how old was I? I was in my mid-20s. Our lives have all changed since what we thought this game would be. So I want them to feel the we need to push on actually delivering the project. And I think things like sales like the Perseus and these events prove that they just don't have to do that. But part of me also wants them to take their time and make the greatest game they could possibly make, without the somebody hanging over their shoulder and say, get it done. So it's just like real kind of crazy catch-22,
It's true, but it's all up in the air, because what I think you said it yesterday is that we have no real proof that they can make a compelling game itself. Like we have no proof right now. We are just drifting along with the tides.
We know that we have proof that they can make a beautiful universe. We have no proof that they're able to deliver engaging high high octane kind of PvP yet. We're not, with multiple levels of ships, like small fighters, medium fighters, heavy fighters, big cargo ships, big capital sized ships engaged in these fights, those kind of things. We have no proof that they're capable of doing that yet. We hope that server meshing comes online and it changes the way things work and that they are able to, but we just don't have the proof that they can yet. But I think we're all kind of here because we hope and believe that they might. I mean, are you just
not much to say in that?
Yeah, are you just kind of are you having your doubts basically because of a ship sale, or are you having your doubts just because of
I am having the
project?
doubts because of the tendencies, like we
Mhm.
previously mentioned, Nomad,
Yeah.
the insurance system, and I am having my doubts because when I am in game, I realize how little is there to actually do, and what I am seeing is not even enough for the fundamentals of the game I would like to
Of course, and I agree, but
get me.
I'm going to jump in and say this for myself, to remind myself, and I do have to occasionally remind myself this, to remind you, and to remind anybody who is feeling kind of down about the game and that things are probably not going to work out in your mind. The marketing team, while having way too much of an influence on how the game actually might play, they're not the guys who make the game. And I think the people who make the game are extremely dedicated to making the game fun. It's just at this point, their hands are tied by Chris Roberts' vision of what the game should look like, procedural planets. So now things like server meshing, iCache, Gen 12 renderer, all these other things that have been in the pipeline this entire year and actually, kind of slowed down the progress of anything we were going to get this year because they weren't delivered. Things like Crusader, jump points, all those kind of things don't exist because they're not done. I believe that the developers are working their butt off to get that done and are just filling in whatever we have now to make it a little bit more interesting until that happens. And once they have that, they will be able to make this more engaging world that you and I are disappointed in what we currently have now. And I just want to say, don't give up yet. You don't have to wave your credit card and continue to buy spaceships, but I wouldn't give up my confidence in them as a development studio ever. At this point.
I agree. I wouldn't.
It's just incredibly
just,
frustrating, their marketing. It's just obnoxious.
And we have been on a bit of content drought for a while.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
the entire year, basically. The entire year.
Yeah.
It has been essentially a content drought. But I'm not letting it go because I don't think that...
Oh, me neither. Yeah, I'm not that nihilistic about it. It's just I am at a low point for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving on, just a couple more comments, if you will. So
Please.
I still find it insane how fast the Kraken, the Idris, and the Javelin sell out. It's at this point, it's just a matter of laughing at the situation.
Yes.
I refreshed the page once, and the Warbond Javelin, which is $3,200 or whatever without taxes, immediately sold out, like in a heartbeat. Unreal to me that this is still happening. It's not something I would personally ever understand, but it's interesting what kind of demographic CIG so successful at pulling. Like these whales.
Do these ships mine Bitcoin or something? I don't get it.
I don't know. There is something we don't understand.
They sell out faster than GPUs. I think it's gray market sales, but that's me.
No, but you cannot even sell these on the gray market. Just
that's true.
Market.
They're not even tradable, right?
Yeah, they are above $1,000. You cannot. The only thing that makes sense is the Polaris. Like the Polaris, I am pretty sure that these gray market sellers, they have set up to just immediately buy all the Polaris up, and then they just price gouge it and sell it on the gray market.
Yeah.
I am like a high certainty that that's what. Oh yeah, but all in all, yeah, it's insane. And and what you said, or what you were talking about with the previous caller, is that I really would like to see them transition towards, like, I think skins are such a good way to make money in this kind of game, because people would be willing to pay for a fancy skin that is time limited. I would go with time limited, super exclusive skins, and just go hard with them. And they would be super flashy, obnoxious, whatever. And you could ask for like $50 for a skin. And I really would like to see them transition from ship sales to these. And I know it's kind of a fever dream, and it might be too late. But
they made $3 million in a day on a ship scale. They're not going anywhere, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I feel the same way, but they're not going anywhere.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I guess if you have any other comments, I would make them now because we actually had another guy call in.
Cool. Okay, final statement, real quick, just sentence. The Banu merchant maintenance is a meme, and I hope it gets cancelled to annoy all the people who can't shut up about it. The $300 conversion kits for the Idris and the Kraken are an absolute joke and one of the most scammy things CIG does that everyone seems to be okay with. Death of a Spaceman is a trash concept alongside
the AI anything to do with the Expo!
And hope they never make it into the game. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Goodbye. Razer has stepped off of his soapbox, and he is gone. Thank you for the call, Razer. I like Razer's opinions on things. He's also very opinionated on a lot of things. So we haven't spoken in a while, so he wanted to get everything out while he could. I love that. That's awesome. All right. Well, now we have, I guess, our final caller. It's Heavy Bob. Actually, Heavy, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read a tweet real quick before, because I wanted to mix that in before we get started here.
Oh, no probs.
Awesome, man. This is from Aimless. He said, thoughts on this year's IAE? The price increase for the band immersion was mishandled. I actually don't know much about that, believe it or not. The big increase with zero communication and then contrary ship info offered in the jump point. This doesn't inspire confidence and a mistake repeated from the past. I guess Heavy, do you know anything about that? Because I'm actually not versed in this subject at all.
If I ask my question, it'll probably give you a little bit more context to what I know about the UEE.
Sure.
You want me to ask now?
Yeah, go ahead.
As someone who's currently banned from the game for performing bugs and glitches in game in an alpha, when should Star Citizen start fixing its bugs and glitches in the game?
You got banned from the game for that?
Oh yeah, I'm banned from the game for this patch. Yeah, I got patched out.
Wait, just for this patch, and then you can come back?
Yeah. But like, to be fair, like I was doing stuff that was detrimental to the game, like annoying and like boarding people's ships, phasing through walls, sending people to prison, that sort of stuff. And I did it like hundreds and hundreds of times. But like,
so you should probably be banned. Yeah.
My question is really about when should CIG start fixing bugs? Like, should it start fixing bugs when it becomes more detrimental to players that they exist, or should they start banning the players who are performing the bugs to stop the bugs from happening?
I think they should ban players who are being pains in the ass to people who are trying to enjoy the game, and that's because like I see what you're getting at here, and I agree with you. This is incredibly off topic, and I don't really want to have this conversation with you right now, and I'm not sure why you called in to talk about this specifically.
I was calling in specifically about that previous caller saying that like CIG charges hundreds of dollars for spaceships. Like, nothing infuriates me more than saying you can spend $1 more for a special skin. Like, I just think it's like greedy and like double dipping.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fine.
That's initially like you asked me about the UEE.
No, I didn't.
The IAE thing. So
yeah, but what does that have to do with bugs and you getting banned?
Well, like I can't actually see the IAE in game, so that's why.
Okay.
I mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll touch on it a little bit. I think if you're being a pain in the ass and you said you did it 100 times, you probably deserve a ban because you're just being fucking annoying, right? For people who are trying to enjoy the game. But the perspective is that they sometimes say that the game is an alpha, where you wouldn't necessarily be fixing all these bugs, and then they sometimes say that the game is a live product. Okay? So it comes down to, and we can tie it into the Expo stuff with that, is that communication is often paths are crossed, wires are crossed, and it's kind of weird. So my response to like you phasing through ships and all that shit, most of that stuff isn't even bugs, it's just server problems that are going to be resolved hopefully with server meshing. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, what did you think about the expo, I guess, from what you saw maybe on the website? Because otherwise I'll just probably end the call here.
I think the main thing that I can touch on the expo is that people were running the game with more gigabytes in their computer than actual frames per second for the expo. So I think that was pretty good. I think there were previous expos which are better.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole hologram thing was kind of a meme in itself.
I mean, yeah, it started last year. I think it's kind of weird. It's like, hey, let's look at a hologram of a ship we spent hundreds on and won't be playing for years. Like the Nautilus and stuff is kind of weird ones for me.
Oh, they're all weird ships, like a mine ship in space.
Yeah. The Nautilus is the biggest meme on the planet for me.
See, there was no reason for them to not. They could have put in the whole sea on the show floor if they really wanted to, but they didn't. They could have shown us a lot more spaceships, but they chose to use these little silly holograms from the Invictus week. It's I think it's like a slap in the face. I think people expected a little bit more.
Yeah, I think most people expected more from it because it was basically the same thing as last year, but in a new place, and they just had some. I think the actual expo event, the way it looked, was pretty cool, and the maps and some stuff there, but it wasn't much different from anything else, you know?
I thought it was really cute that Zylo was like, oh yeah, we're not going to release the roadmap until after the expo and after we've made all the money. But like, hey, roadmaps take a very long time, 12 months.
That's not a Zylo thing or anything. That's definitely a Star Citizen thing that they do normally. For example, like, let's not release the Carrick delay until after CitizenCon because we want everybody to be happy and not complaining at CitizenCon about it. Things like that. But that's pretty standard for that stuff. But what I do want to touch on is this Banu Merchantman thing. Are you aware of any of that? Because if you're not, the guy who made the tweet was in for a call here, so I could probably bring him on. I can even probably bring him in with you together if you want. But I don't know if you have anything on it.
Sure, I know heaps about the Banu Merchantman. I know that they were planning on building it in 2014. Like said in an actual post that they were going to build it right after Arena Commander 2.0, but they never did. And I'd be really annoyed if I was a Banu Merchantman owner.
It was supposed to be after the Cutlass too, right? Or not the Cutlass, the Carrick. They were going to move on to that. Yeah, I mean, all right, Heavy. I'm going to let you go, and we're going to bring in Aimless then.
Yeah, no problems. Thanks for talking, SaltEMike.
Yeah, no problem. Man. Later, dude. Aimless is on the call now. He was the one who made the tweet that we just read. So, Aimless, I know you said it was late, but yeah, feel free to.
It's very late. How's my mic?
It's fine. It's fine. I can always bring you up. You're good. So what's up with how much was this price hike?
It was $100, but I think that the point's not really, about the Banu Merchantman itself, but how that price rise was actually handled. Because I mean, we've had all this before with the Carrick. I think it was 3 years ago when they first had the price rise. There was a big outcry because nobody was informed, and they brought in that Spectrum thread where they used to talk about price rises, and a price rise would come along, and they'd explain, we're raising the price on this. And we saw it just last September when Zolo made his post about those price increases. And this one, sort of, we have this price increase of $100. We don't know anything about the vendor management other than it's being reconcepted. And then this Jump Point article comes out that says completely different things about the vendor management than we last heard about the management. And it just sort of leaves this whole, I mean, it's another cell phone by CIG that probably could have been avoided.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's so weird, because how can you justify a price hike without ever bringing it into the game? It seems like just Alien Week, we gotta, or not Alien Week, Alien Day here at the Expo. We gotta have something. You know they're gonna buy the merchantman. Let's capitalize on that. I think they're like, hey, there's nothing good to sell here.
That's not so much even the point, because I mean, we knew the banner merchant was going to go up. Like it's pretty much guaranteed. But like,
sure, but it usually goes up, and you can visually see why.
Yeah, and that's kind of what caught me about it, was that the price went up, and everyone saw that and said, "Oh, they're doing the thing I want them to do about the banner management." And I made a post about it on Spectrum, and you had people in there saying, "Oh, look, it's going to be short now, and it's going to be the blockhead runner," and then other people were arguing, "Oh no, it's going to be huge now, and it's going to carry 3,000 SCU," and it's like they're just setting themselves up so that these people are going to be disappointed. And we didn't have to do it that way. It just annoys me.
Yeah, that's understandable, and I think that's what we want out of them with things like this. If we're willing to sacrifice that much money on things that, you know, we hope to be delivered in a reasonable amount of time, we hope that the communication would just be good when it comes to stuff like that, especially for a ship like the Banner Merchantman that people are obviously very excited about and have been for way too long.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real, it's not going to come out anytime soon. I mean, it'd be nice to have a little bit of info about it to sort of, I don't know, have some idea what's going to happen, but it's not going to happen.
Because the whole thing is if they actually talked about it, and they would be able to communicate whatever additional info they have about the ship, other than the price, right? So that it would help justify the price. But I'm not really, from you, I'm getting that didn't really happen.
Oh, they didn't say anything. It just showed up in the store that day, and it was $100 more.
Yeah,
and it was increased in the buybacks on the same day, sort of thing. So it's, I don't know, that seems predatory to me, because I mean, I don't think they're even, that we know it's being reconcepted, but I don't think it's happening right now. So it's like, well, why did it happen now? Sort of, and why not other ships? I mean, there's plenty of other ships in the same sort of boat.
yeah,
like the Crucible, or a lot of those 350 ships. They're all going to go up at some point, but
sure,
at least maybe do it when they've got an idea of what's going to happen with that ship.
Yeah, I agree. But all right, Aimless, we'll let you go. I know it's late, and I appreciate you coming on and helping me out on that one. There was so much going on this week that I missed that one completely, pretty much. We talked about it like very briefly on stream, I think, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, I threw the tweet out there. I thought I should have just gone to bed instead.
Yeah. Well, all right, man.
Just on the IAE, though, I think it wasn't too bad. I mean, this was a COVID IAE, so I mean, cut them some slack, but
agreed. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I just hope every year it's a little bit better on more aspects than the location that they do it in. And I think there were some slight things that were cool. I think the maps were sick. I think it made it easier to navigate. I think there were a lot of good things there. The showing the weapons and allowing you to rent those things was all pretty cool as well. And yeah, the ending, I thought it ended on a really cool note.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, man. But all right, Aimless. Yeah, man, we'll let you go. I appreciate that. I'm glad you do. Later, buddy. Thank you for helping out again today. All right, bye. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's Answer the Call. A little bit of a shorter one. A little bit of a weird one at the end there. Lots of off-topic stuff. I apologize. I tried to stay on it as much as I could. But yeah, the expo was kind of far-reaching for a lot of different aspects of the game, so people had a lot to say about a lot of different things. So I appreciate you guys watching today. Thank you so much. If you were watching on Twitch and you missed parts of the show, it will be up on YouTube later today. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to join the show live at any time, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. And discord.gg/SaltEMike. Our Discord community is quite awesome. Very active in comparison to a lot of other channels of my size, I feel like. And lots to talk about Star Citizen and stuff like that. So feel free to check those out. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody.